Working on a custom currently. Okay, and then arms. Hello. I'm working on a custom currently, I'm gonna start another custom too, probably while I'm on this live. I just got a kit in the mail from a customer, and it's a long sold out kit. Well, I don't know if I would say long. I painted her before already, but since she's sold out, she's like impossible to get unless you already had her, pretty much. So this is Missy by Natalie Blick. Um, like I said, I've painted her before. I don't know when she got sold out, but yeah. So this is for a customer who sent me the kit, which, like I said, I am open for customs. So if you have a kit, you obviously will pay a cheaper price for me to paint it if you already have the kit versus me having to go and buy it. Um, but yeah, so that is the only reason I was able to get my hands on a second copy of this kit is because the customer already had it. Um, I have been seeing like blank Missies for sale, but I'm not one to really typically fall into the sketchy, messed up reselling of kits business, which is part of what I wanted to talk about again, because I think it's so sketchy, and it's starting to seem very scammy, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by that. Um, it's only getting worse instead of getting better. The reselling of kits, these sold out kits, and with the most recent batch of, I think it's what kit is that? The Natalie Blick one. Oh yes, Pippa. So this happens, if y'all are not familiar with what happens with kits that are limited edition and they're of a sculptor like Pippa by Natalie Blick. Mostly it's Natalie Blick kits you'll see this happen to, and some Joanna Kazmierak kits, where it'll sell out and then the people will resell the kits for like triple, quadruple the original price of the kit because they're no longer available. Now, I could understand like double, maybe, but I honestly, I don't understand when you're getting into tripling the original price, quadrupling. Some people sell it for 5 times the original price of the kit. So we're talking about now like $500 for a blank vinyl kit, that people will resell them on. Now, where this is starting to get sketchy is I'm starting to notice there's a group of people in the community who are buying up these kits that they know are, limited edition and that are going to resell for good value. And most dealers will limit you to now at this point to you can only buy 2 kits from them of these like sought after kits that are low edition, so smaller edition sizes for these blank vinyl kits. Um, a lot of the dealers are limiting to you to 2, and if you buy more than 2 through somebody else, I don't think they know how to do limit that. I'm not really sure because it seems like they're not really doing that. And it also doesn't stop you from then going to buy two more from another dealer if they have that same kit, two more from another dealer, because there's several dealers that'll carry the same kit that's going to be limited edition. So there is a subset of people that I've been watching them do this, where they will buy up all of the like multiple copies of these limited edition kits, and then they'll resell them literally the day they get them. They're like, they make up some kind of excuse on Facebook. They're like, oh, this kit is not as big as I thought it would be. Or they'll make up some kind of excuse and will say, oh, I just got these kits and now I don't want them. And sell them the very same day. Sometimes they'll list them the very same day they got them for like three, four, five times more than what they just literally purchased the doll kit for. Um, it's real sketchy, and like I said, it's the same kind. I've been noticing it's the same group of people who are doing this. So at first I was like, oh yeah, maybe they really were being genuine and were like, really didn't. Like, the kit wasn't what they expected it to be. At first I thought maybe they were genuine, but they're doing it over and over. And so this is like the same people who like would do probably um, ticket scalpers. I don't know if y'all are familiar with those type of people who buy up tickets to resell at a lot higher prices. It's the same kind of concept, and unfortunately, these type of people have now made their way into the reborn world. So it's important to be aware and don't get taken advantage of. No matter how much you may want a kit, there's always going to be someone, even if it's a sold out limited edition kit, there's going to be someone that'll sell it to you for a reasonable price and won't try to take advantage of you. Because my thing is, these people did nothing to deserve to be able to up the price that much on these kits. They didn't sculpt the kits. They did no work or energy to be making over triple profit on everyone else. Like, there's no reason they should be able to make a whole bunch of money off of people in the reborn community. So obviously, there's still going to be people who are going to buy even these super upcharged kits because they want the doll so bad. Um, and to that, I say, is it really that important that you buy something and you know you're getting taken advantage of? I mean, you do what you want, but I'm not going to be the one because there's always going to be a similar kit, honestly, that's going to be released. That's just the way things are, especially if it was a really popular kit. Um, a lot of the sculptors uh, will make a doll kit that is similar because they can't help themselves because they are one person sculpting. So you'll notice a lot of their kits look similar, and it's kind of like a family resemblance thing because it's coming from the same hands. So that's why I don't freak out. Like, typically, if I miss a kit when it's first available, because, like I said, one, I know eventually, if I look hard enough and I pay attention hard enough, someone's going to be selling it for a reasonable price, or, like I just mentioned, there's going to be a similar kit that'll come out. It won't be the same exact kit. No, probably not. But it'll be very similar. Or it might be the same kit because I've seen now sculptors are starting to do second versions of a kit and re-release it, even though it's the same exact thing. So, you know, I just don't want y'all to be taken advantage of by these sketchy people who are reselling these kits, pretending like they bought them innocently when they didn't buy them innocently. And the problem with these people are they're taking away from the artists who actually just want to purchase the sculpts to be able to paint and not to just resell the blank ones uh, which is what not that's not what they're for. Like these kits are meant to be painted and enjoyed, um, not resold like tickets. Um, so these like scalpers, I guess, kit scalpers, I would call them. They're taking away from the genuine people in this community who want to get their hands on a kit. So it's real frustrating to see. Like there's one lady in particular, who's always posting on like reborns.com, and she's always posting on Facebook groups. Like these kits, she's out of her mind. She's been trying to sell these kits for years, and the reason why is because she has priced them at like literally $1,000 each, and they're not silicone kits, they're vinyl. So that's a ridiculous price, even in the world of the kit scalpers. That is like a absolutely insane price, um, that she has those kits at. So yeah, they've been sitting for a while, but she still has the audacity to not take offers on them and thinks that she can still sell them for that much money. I'm glad she hasn't been able to sell them. I hope she never sells them for that price because she did nothing other than purchase the kit at a normal price like the rest of us do with most of our kits. We just purchase them at the retail price. All she did was sit by a computer, click purchase, and now she's trying to make 10 times her money back on those blank kits. Not painted, blank, completely blank kits. Um, so yeah, be aware that there's people that are just out there doing insane things like that. And if you hear that in the background, that's my oven. I'm like I said, I'm working on a custom right now, and those are her head and arms that just got finished baking. So I'm gonna take them out in a second. Yes, she has posted blank. I think one is Quinlan, and I think the Quinlan she priced at $1,200, and then some other kit, another blank kit that she posted for 1,000. But yeah, I mean, like I said, she's had those available for like at least a year, I think, probably more. And she just keeps posting them over and over. She'll take down her old listings and then relist them again for the same price. Which I don't think that she's just not very smart because at that point, you know, they're not going to sell, you know, if you've had them for so long and no one wants them at that price. That's typically a sign that your pricing is wrong. But I don't know. She sure is sticking to her ideas. But yeah, that's like one example of what I mean by like there's some sketchy behaviors going on. And then another thing I've noticed is I've noticed with customs, some of these artists who do custom work, they are, and I've talked about this in past and got a lot of hate on it. And I don't really know why I got a lot of hate on it because I feel like it's very valid to say if if you are taking on too much work, it is not fair for you, and it is definitely not fair for your customers. Um, and to me, it starts to get to a point where you're just taking people's money, their hard-earned money, because these dolls are not cheap by any means. You're taking people's hard-earned money. They're expecting a product, which is what they're paying you for, and you're dragging on and dragging on your timelines. Um, at some point, you've got to realize you've reached your limit on as an artist with how many customs you can take on, how many dolls you can take on at one time, and you need to stop. You have to stop. There are these artists who their original timelines were only supposed to be a few months, who are now having customers posting in these groups freaking out because it's been like 6 months, a year, and they're still waiting on their doll that was supposed to only take like 2 to 3 months, which even to me, 3 months is a long time, unless it's like really, really amazing quality. That's a long time to wait for a custom for me. I get impatient, which is typically why I only do customs with people now at this point. If I order a custom, it's with someone I trust. But no, I mean it's been constant lately. I all these people posting in these groups, and I feel so bad for them because meanwhile I'm doing these like dark skinned babies, and it's taking like probably a month for my customs max with hair. And yes, I'm not a top level artist, but my I would in no way consider my art to be bad. I think I'm very much a middle ground artist, and I don't know, like to me at some point there is no excuse because I hear people, a lot of these artists will give reasons why they're delayed, and some don't say anything at all to their customers of why their work is so behind. So of course their customers are freaking out thinking they've been scammed by what are supposed to be well-known artists. A lot of them will say they have life things going on, and yes, that's probably true, but you have been paid to do a job. Imagine imagine you are working because I have a full-time job as well. Reborns is just what I do on the weekend and the evenings to make extra money. Imagine if I were to go into my actual job and say, "Oh, I can't work. I can't work. Oh, you've already paid me to work. Oh, well, I can't work anymore right now because I've got so and so happening." Um, I would get fired. With Reborn Customs, unfortunately, the buyer who's already paid doesn't have much they can do other than to either one annoy the artist by keep asking, um like, "Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?" And then the customer gets like, I've seen it even get worse where the customer is doing that because they're freaking out and they're like, "Where's my doll? It's been 6 months. You told me three. It's taking twice the time you're telling me it was supposed to take. What are you doing?" Um, and then so they're bugging the artist, and then I've seen it where the artists will post like they're the victim in this. I will see where the artists have posted and they're like annoyed by a customer, and I'm like, why are you annoyed when they are wanting the goods that they paid for in a timely manner that you yourself set the timeline for, and now you yourself are extremely behind. So I think this goes along with my previous live where I feel like we have to humble ourselves as artists and realize where, hmm, maybe they're complaining for a reason. um, it's not easy to do, but sometimes you got to know when you're wrong. And these artists that are taking like twice and triple, the only time I can see that as a reason, like where you can have an like a situation which would warrant that, is if you are physically ill, your kids are physically ill, or someone died. Those are for me. Maybe I'm just like a hard worker, but those are really the only reasons that I, as an artist, would be extremely delayed. I might be a week late sometimes, but I will never be like several months behind for almost any reason in the world because I have a duty to someone who has paid for my services to complete those services in a reasonable amount of time. But like I said, more and more as I'm in this reborn world, I'm seeing these artists who are just laissez-faire with it, where they're like, "Oh, I was too tired. I didn't feel like painting that day. I'm sorry." Like, I what excuse have I seen recently that I was like, oh my gosh. Um, I think she said recently that there was an artist who I saw posting that was just like straight up. She was saying that she regretted taking on the custom and was taking longer for that reason. um, which is so funny to me because I just completed and sent off a custom this week where I hated the process of painting the doll because not so much the customer, but the kit itself. The vinyl was horrible, stinky, hard to paint pink, and I still completed the doll in a normal time period and made myself complete it because it wasn't the customer's fault. She didn't know the vinyl on the kit was like that. It came straight from the. I ordered the kit straight from the supplier, so she wouldn't have known. And so I saw this person posting about how they took on this customer and were taking longer because they didn't like the kit or like how it was going. That's not an excuse. That's not a reason you should be taking longer. That's to me that's so rude. Like if you really, 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 really didn't like the kit, you shouldn't have taken on that custom in the first place. That's how I feel about it. That is why there are certain sculptors that I will just not paint their kits because I don't like them as human beings. And so I'm not going to take on a custom knowing that I don't like something at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't know that that particular custom, I didn't also know that the kit was going to have that vinyl because it wasn't in the listing for the kit. But if I had known, I would have avoided that situation myself as an artist and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on to my customer. Can we choose a different kit with a different vinyl?" Bushel and Peck. I feel like I've heard about that recently. Um, yeah, this has unfortunately been happening more and more where these artists who were supposed to be, um, high quality artists are supposed to be trustworthy have straight up ghosted people or blocked people and then dropped out of the reborn community and owe people a bunch of dolls that were never done. I have seen that happen. I can't remember the lady's name, but she painted like gorgeous, beautiful dolls of color, and she took on, I guess, too much work, got overwhelmed, and blocked everyone and stopped posting, um, and kept the money. So it's happened. It's going to keep happening because people can be terrible sometimes, especially when money is involved. Um, yes, I agree. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about customers asking respectfully artists to adhere to the timelines that they laid out. I'm not talking about those type of people because unfortunately I've had those type of customers as well where they're like bugging me and it's only been a week and I'm like I told you 3 to 4 weeks. Um I've had those type of customs more than a few times. Um and that is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a customer who's bugging someone where it's been 6 months is supposed to take 3. That's not even bugging to me. That's just like asking where's my shit? Where is the thing that I ordered for this timeline? Um, and I've had this as a someone who ordered a I this is like my first two customs experience with me as the customer ordering a custom. Um, were horrible experiences because this is this is exactly what happened to me. I think these two artists took on way too much work for themselves, and then I suffered because of their poor planning. Um, and had I known, well, how was I supposed to know also as a customer that these people were going to take longer than what they told me. Um, I had people like, well, you should have known they were busy. How was I supposed to know that? They didn't make it seem like they were busy. They told me a certain timeline, and that sounded great to me. For one of my customs, I think it was the second custom I ordered. The doll took triple the time I was told originally. Or is that the first one? That was the first one. And when I got the doll, I was extremely disappointed because it didn't even amount, like the quality of her work didn't even amount to the extra time and frustration that it ended up taking her to complete that doll. And I ended up selling it shortly thereafter because I was so disappointed, and I couldn't look at the doll without being so effing annoyed by the situation and the lack of accountability on the part of the artist. If you look back on my videos, it's like that very one of the very first dolls I had in my collection. It was a bountiful baby kit. I think it was, what kit was that? It was one of the older bountiful baby kits. I think it was Cutie or the close-eyed one, not Cutie. Maybe it was Cutie. Um, yeah, but that artist, thankfully, I don't think she paints anymore. I think she got, and I think and I hope um, it helped her realize that she just didn't have the time to be taking on at least custom work. And that's the thing, like no one is making these artists take on customs. Um, but yet they do it because it's guaranteed money, uh, and that is so tempting to do, um, especially when you are um, needing that extra cash. Um, I get why they do it, but at the same time, I don't, because then then you open yourself up to a situation where not only can the customer then go file a claim with their bank, um, but they can also straight up out you as someone who's not reliable. And then you'll not be getting any more customs and any more money through this doll making. So yeah, it's troublesome that especially in like the dolls of color groups I'm in, I'm seeing more and more of this happening where they're like, where's my baby? There's not many artists that focus on darker skin tones to begin with, and then now you're making that pool of availability even lower by doing bad business with people, because now you're just taking one more talented artist, and a lot of these people are very talented who take up all this time. Um, but like this baby, you can see she's a quite a dark skin tone. I am finishing her today. Ignore her lips; they're literally, I haven't even started her lips, but she'll be finished in a few hours. And this skin tone only took me, I think, 2, 3 weeks, 2, 3 weeks, and it's pretty even. I mean, so you know what I mean? Like, and this is just me working on some weekends and a few hours every night. So you have to be willing to make yourself do it if you take on the custom to do it. Like, does that make sense? And I think, I don't know if I'm just, like I said, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't know if it's just because I'm a hard worker in general at my real job that I do every day during the week, my 9 to 5. I don't know if it's because I'm a hard worker at that job that I'm also a hard worker when it comes to doing these dolls, that I want everyone to have what they ordered from me in a timely manner. And I don't just see it as a side business anymore, really. I see it, especially because I just had to pay a bunch of taxes for it, by the way, um, which also was not fun. I had to pay like a bunch of taxes because I have to now report this as income. Um, I'm even more motivated than before to get these dolls out in a timely manner, but not rush. And for me, that good medium of time where I feel like I'm not rushing, um, I'm still happy with my work, has been around 4 weeks probably. A lot of times it's less than that, depending on the skin tone. But I love this little one. I was so excited to finally have a reason to paint this kit. I was worried that if I painted her to just as a to make for sale, that she wouldn't sell. I don't know. This is Miley by Cassie Brace. I think she's so cute and chunky, and I love Cassie Brace's kits. The vinyl is always super great. Like this skin tone took so well on this vinyl. Um, yeah, I love her, but she'll be done in a few hours, like I said. And then I'm gonna move on to doing her hair. Okay, let's see. Have you ever had a customer that wanted a custom doll, but after a few weeks suddenly changed their wishes for how the doll should look, and then after a week again start the fuss and change how they want it? No, I have not. Um, Thankfully, I have had people change they want me to change a few details, but not anything major that would completely change the progress I was making. I haven't had that happen. If that did happen, I would probably just say, all right, at a certain point, I can't make any more changes. Tell the customer that. If they fuss about it, I will say, I'm sorry, I can't continue this custom. Um, you don't owe me the remaining balance, and then go about my damn way and block them. Honestly, that's what I would do if they just kept going with changes that were just no longer possible. Um, because what are you going to do at a certain point? The progress you've made is irreversible unless they wanted you to completely start over, which I would not be doing that. Ain't nobody gonna make me completely start over. I hate stripping dolls, like removing the paint is the worst. I hate doing that. You would like have to pay me extra if you wanted me to start over, especially if the doll is progressing the way you originally wanted it to. Like if you told me it was supposed to be this skin tone and it's becoming that skin tone, and then all of a sudden you tell me you want to be a different, completely different skin tone. Yeah, that's not happening, buddy. That's also, though, I will give you like a tip. That's also why I do non-refundable deposits, and I put that in writing. I do non-refundable deposits that are due before I will even touch your kit, before I will even buy the supplies. You have to pay me half down before I do anything, because I'm not playing around with people. I don't have time to waste with that. Um, and most people understand, because what will happen is, if someone halfway through a custom for me changes their mind and they don't want to do what was originally discussed, and if I've gotten to a point of no return, like I said, I will very politely tell them, all right, I'm done here. um, I will not be collecting the rest of the money from you, but we're done. I don't need to be doing this for you anymore, because you are putting me in a position that wasn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you can't change your order significantly partway through and it be okay. I mean, you wouldn't do that with any other service. So why would you do that with a reborn doll? It's still a business situation where you're exchanging goods for money. That sounds bad, but that's what it is. So why would you do that? You wouldn't do that with any other thing that you purchase. So let's not do that to me. Um, and so I will. What will happen there is the same thing that happens if for some reason they are unable to pay off their dolls within a my set time frame. My set time frame for most of my customs is 4 weeks within completion of the doll. So overall, that gives people usually about 2 months, 2 to 2.5 months to pay off my dolls. So if you don't pay off your doll within a month of completing of when I complete it, um, per my policy, Godspeed, have a great life, but I'm going to be blocking you and you will not be purchasing from me anymore. And I will sell the doll for the remaining balance, and then someone else happens to get a cheap doll from you not being able to pay. Because I have talked about this like several times. I think I rant to this about this to my mom all the time. You wouldn't do that with like anything else in your life. Just halfway through paying it, say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't pay off when I was supposed to pay off." Because what will happen is you're gonna get into debt. That's what would happen with anything else. And so I treat it that way. And it might seem harsh, but like I said, I use this for extra money to pay off things, and I am not going to deal with someone who puts me in a position where I was supposed to be um, getting money and then not ending up getting it because I've now completed your doll and you owe me the money and you can't pay it. All right, blocked. I will be selling the doll for the remaining balance. Sorry, you won't be getting your doll. Like that is my policy, and I have made that incredibly clear. And so far, I've only had one person where I actually had to do that with, and she understood. She read my terms. She couldn't pay off the doll, and she wanted me to give her not one more month. She wanted me to give her 2 more months to pay off the balance past when she was supposed to pay off the balance. That is just way too long. Um, and I'm not that flexible. I'm sorry. So yeah, she understood why I had to block her and why she wouldn't be getting her doll. I think it's completely fair. How long does a light biracial take? For me, it again depends on the size of the doll. Um, Light biracial I can do pretty quickly, probably 2 weeks for that skin tone. But it really depends on the size of the doll and how many other customs I'm working on. But typically, it's pretty quick for me. I have a reborns.com account, same name as my channel, Uni Reborn Dad. Um, it's all that's usually where I post dolls nowadays because I pay for the account on there. I do have two dolls currently available, um, and they're very very different sizes. One is a Vito, sitting toddler. He is 18 to 24 months size. I actually reduced his price recently, and I am taking extended payment plans on him because he's not cheap. And then I have I still don't know what I'm gonna do with him. Like I haven't decided if I want to take his listing down and continue rooting the rest of his hair because right now he's got absolutely no interest on reborns.com. This is Jamie. He is a 1/4 limb baby, which I think might be part of the issue. But I love 1/4 limbs. I think they're so cuddly and posable and fun because, as you can see, he can still wear like outfits and stuff. But he's so cuddly because of his 1/4 limbs. I think part of the is his limbs and that he has comby hair. So I might have to go through and just suck it up and root the rest of his head. I was trying to avoid having to do that because his head is so hard. Even when I use my rooting lamp, it sucks. Like rooting him sucks. But yeah, I like him. He came out. I wanted to do a really dark tone on him, and he came out really well. What I wanted to do. This is not the best lighting, but he has a similar skin tone to the custom Miley. So, and that was what the intention was. That's what I had to do because of the customer. She was so annoying and distorted my work every hour of the day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you did the right thing with like blocking that. Do I do mottling on my dolls? Only with the newborn lighter skin tone ones. I do that only on those typically, because I find with the darker skin tones like this, if as long as you do some type of shading, it stops them from looking like super flat. You can't tell right now, but he does have like shading on his face, um, and around his lips and stuff. And I think that's enough for these dark skin tones to keep them from looking flat. Um, Also, the mottling would barely show up if I did it on a skin tone like this. I mean, there would be not much of a point. But on the newborn lighter skin tones, I do, yes, I do a little bit of mottling, not too much, because even then they're still biracial and they're not, at that point, they're not usually super modeled. I've been looking a lot of newborn biracial babies, and unless they're like freshly born, they're not super modeled. And I was the same way. I wasn't super. I didn't have a lot of mottling um, when I was born, and I was really pale for a long time when I was little. So I also use myself as a reference because I have pictures of baby pictures. But he has the sweetest like details on his 1/4 limbs because he's an Adri Stoetti kit, and she does gorgeous details on her hands and feet. Like her hands and feet are so detailed. At least her newer stuff is. I don't know about so much her older kits, but her newer kits, which he's kind of newer, at least the limbs are. Thank you. I am continuously trying to improve, and that is literally why I've started working on these darker skin tones because I want to. I know I can achieve them, but I want to get them down to kind of a science so that I can easily offer them more and more as options. I do these skin tones as make to sell very rarely because I haven't gotten it quite down to a science yet. I think I'm starting to get here because this is the third one that I've done kind of this deep skin tone, and she was definitely much easier because I knew what I needed to mix. I knew how many layers, essentially, how long to keep adding layers to get her to the same skin tone as him. So for me, the key for offering this skin tone more and more is being able to replicate it. And I can do that with all my other skin tones without even thinking about it at this point. I can like this custom Missy that I just got in the mail for this customer. She wants it the same skin tone essentially as my other Missy, and I know how to do that off the top of my head. This skin tone, on the other hand, I have to think about it still. And so I'm trying to get to a point where I don't have to think about it. I just do it. It makes things much quicker if I don't have to think about what I'm mixing and I just know from muscle memory this is what you're mixing to get this. Like a recipe that you've like a old family recipe where you no longer have to look at an actual recipe. You know what you need. You know how much you need to put in the bowl. That's what I want to do and get to the point with this skin tone. So I am going to be doing a lot more of this type of skin tone so that I can get to that point. Like I have a few kits here that I'm gonna do in this skin tone, and those are gonna be make to sell ones. Thank you. Yeah, I am proud of myself because if y'all remember, I know some of these people have been around my channel since I've really very first started painting, and I would get so frustrated because I couldn't understand. I could only get to like a medium skin tone, and for the longest time, I was stuck at like a medium skin tone. Could not get any darker than like me, and I couldn't understand why until I started playing around with colors and realize that to not be afraid to use more color, um, and that's how I started getting darker skin tones. Yeah, I like all the dolls I do. I like the variety of tones I'm able to offer. I like people really do like the biracial ones I do because I've heard feedback on this is that not a lot of people offer the specific tones that I do. They only offer like here is light biracial, like light biracial, or they offer dark skin tones. There seems to be not too many artists that offer that kind of in between, which is what I consider myself. That I'm kind of an in between skin tone on the lighter side, I guess. There's so many varieties that I've done, uh, but yeah, people do most of my customs orders that come in are they're requesting kind of my skin tone, um, if not just like slightly lighter or slightly darker. All my customs kind of hover around this range. Other than this one where she requested specifically a dark skin tone. I also wanted to warn you guys that this lady is back in action. I am going to. I haven't been naming really many people by name anymore, but I am going to name her by name because she's notorious for doing this. Um, this lady is back on Facebook. She keeps getting her Facebooks taken down for the reasons why I'm going to tell you. She goes and begs for free dolls. And then sometimes people feel bad for her because she is disabled and they will send her a free doll. And guess what she does? She has been known to use these dolls to scam other people and then also then sell the dolls that she got for free. So um, keep an eye out for this lady. Her name, she, she's like I said, she is disabled. She's not quite all there, is how I will put it. So she doesn't. She uses the same name, her name, every time she makes a new Facebook. She uses her same name. It's Jessica Layman. She's back on Facebook begging already. She tried to request to join a group that I moderated, and I immediately knew who she was because, like I said, she's been doing this for years, man. She has been doing this for years. This running this scam, and then she gets mad, and she's like a real nasty, hateful person. She gets mad and like brutal and says that people are mean to her because she's disabled, which is not the case. They're mean to her because she's a scammer. And the so yeah, keep an eye out for her. Her last name is Layman, Layman, Jessica Layman, and her husband as well. They are both in cahoots because she does have a husband. They are both in cahoots with the scamming. If you get a message from her, immediately block her. Don't engage. I'm slowly figuring out the I don't use any kind of primer or anything. I Genesis heat set paints, the ones I use. I don't need primer for them. I've never used primer for these painting with Genesis, and I've never really had to. Now, I will say with some kits that are bad vinyl, I do have to put matte varnish down in some places, but that's been very, 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 very few kits I've actually had to do that too. And the ones I did have to do were like Bountiful Baby kits, where the vinyl just was horrible quality and like shiny. But other than that, no, I don't do any kind of priming of the kits. I don't wash my kits either. Um, when I started, there was a few tutorials specifically that were saying don't wash your kits. And so at first I was washing my kits, and then I actually found better results when I didn't. Like I don't know why that is. Maybe it's something to have to do with the way they come out of the factory. They're I don't know. I couldn't even think of a theory, but either I started getting better as an artist or that also factored into it. So now I don't wash my kits. The only time I will nowadays wash a kit is if there's actually like stuff on it, and I even then I don't wash it with soap. I will wipe it down with nice hot water and keep it rolling. Um, and I haven't had any issues with that. Yes, I do use the Genesis thinning medium. In fact, I just got a bigger thing of it, and I don't use as much of it as you would think, because it if you use too much thinning medium, it creates this gritty like texture in the layers, and you don't want that. So I just use a little bit enough to give it where it moves around just slowly in the bowl. Like you see that? I don't use that, but yes, that helps a lot having it go on evenly and having it adhere to the kit itself. I love my thinning medium, and I'm glad they came out with new irresistible heat set paints that I'm gonna try their thinning medium because I think it's gonna be very similar, and I'm glad there's an alternative once I run out of Genesis. Um, which will eventually happen. Um, yeah, I will let you guys know what I think of that. But yes, I love my thinning medium. It's so useful, and that was a key to getting darker skin tones for me, getting that evenness. Yeah, no, that's what I have is Gambasol, like right here. These are all I use. I don't use anything else in the mixtures. I've heard people use like different things, even with Genesis, and I just find that also unnecessary. But I think I think with her, ooh, gosh, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So what I've so far with these darker skin tones, what I have found out is that for me, I start off with lighter, meaning shade wise, lighter skin tone layers and thinner layers. And then as I progress, I get darker and darker mixes and a little bit thicker layers. So that's why I'm like, I don't really remember how many layers it took to get this tone because I did it in light skin tone layers, medium skin tone layers, and then the last layers were darker mixtures with more black mixed in than the earlier layers. So I if I would guess, if I would guess, I did probably 5 layers of each skin tone. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I did probably 5 of each skin tone. So 5 of the very, very light layers, 5 of the medium layers, and probably 5 of the dark, the very dark layers. I have not painted Chase. I have been looking at him a lot, actually, um, trying to decide if I want to paint him soon. Um, oh, you started off dark. No, so that's also what I used to do was I used to when I was trying and I was frustrated why I couldn't get much darker. It's because I was doing the same level of skin tone and just adding more and more layers of that, and was like, why am I not getting any darker? Because I was using the same color. At a certain point, you reach a saturation point with the skin tone mixture you're doing, where it's not going to get any darker. And I didn't, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm adding more layers. It's just be getting darker. No, at a certain point, you're going to reach that saturation point of where the skin tone, when using the same skin tone mixture, it's only going to be that tone and no darker. Like no darker than what you're using at a certain point. Like that's it. It just stops getting darker. So that's why now when I switched up to doing in levels of layers, of skin tone layers, that's where I started getting darker and darker. And I could have kept going on her and done even darker, like a fourth level of darkness layers on her, and she would have continued to get darker as I gradually made the skin tone layers darker. So I could have kept going, but I think this is a really good tone for her. Um, I do like Chase. Yeah, I definitely I do like him, and I just don't know if he sells well anymore. I know when he first came out, um, a lot of people wanted him, but I don't know. Does he still sell well? The kit that I'll probably unfortunately do soon, because I do not like this kit, but not to the point where I wouldn't paint it anymore. I think I've seen enough cuter versions now that I think I could make her cute. I think the next one after, because I have another kit down here that is going to be soon for sale, is Jalen by Laura Tozio Ross. He will be literally next as far as what I will have available. I think maybe I am like casually working on this Victor, who may will probably I don't know. They might be finished around the same time because I'm still like not where I want to be with Victor. I keep looking at him and not wanting to do anything with him because I'm like stuck on him where I want to be with him. Which is why it's good that he's a make for sell and not a custom order because I could take my time with him. But they might be done around the same time. And then after these two, after Jalen, I'm gonna do a Saskia probably. I know I said I didn't want to do Saskia. Everyone does Saskia. I don't think she's that cute, but I've seen some cuter versions of her recently, and I think Saskia will sell very well. Um, she looks cuter in darker tones, I think, and I think I will do at least one version of her and call it a day. But yes, Jalen is a big boy. He is going to be 6 months size for sure. 3 to 6 months, some probably 6 to 9 months size. I love this is my favorite size, by the way, of kit to paint. I think this is like the perfect size where they're not tiny, they're not newborns, but they're also not toddlers. I love this size. This size is so great, easy to find clothes for, um, still easy to carry around. This is my definitely by far my favorite size. I just wish they made more closed-eyed kits in like a 3 to 6 month, 6 month size. Uh, Want to minimize the times amount of times you bake. Well, I don't have a problem. I bake with every single layer, and the vinyl typically doesn't get warped because I have my oven set up with a bunch of like clean, non-staining uh, washcloths at the bottom and towels at the bottom. So the kits themselves are like supported down in there. And if I have to, I will bake the limbs separately so that they have enough room where they're not touching each other, so they're not warping on each other. I don't typically have much issue with warping because of my oven setup. Um, and like I said, I bake with every single skin tone layer. So, and knock on wood, but yeah, like I said, I haven't had any issue with that. Not to a point where it's not solvable, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. He sells well. I knew where there's a few that have him, but he's so realistic. He's very popular. Hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen much of him anymore since he's an older kit at this point. So maybe I'll do him after I do a Saskia. I don't have any. I'm not a sculptor, unfortunately. I tried once upon a time to sculpt, but I gave up pretty quickly on it. It just wasn't for me. Um, so I fortunately don't have any tips for sculpting. My favorite sculptor is I have two. Well, I guess three actually. Gudrun Legler, um, Cassie Brace, and then Laura Tuzio Ross. I pretty much love every one of their kits. I appreciate Bonnie Brown too as a sculptor, but I can't say that I love most of her kits. Respectfully, she's very, very talented. I just don't like the faces that she typically chooses to sculpt. So I don't know. Like I cannot stand Liam. I was just talking about this with my group chat of friends that I just cannot stand Liam, and I don't like Saskia. Can't stand the Maddie kit. So you can see where this is going. I don't. A lot of her faces that she sculpts, I don't like, but she's so talented. Her limbs are fantastic. Even the faces are obviously very well done. I just don't like the faces. Um, mm, mm, mm. I what I said about Liam in the chat was his face looks like he would always smell like dried up drool, which that smell is one of the few smells in the world that makes me gag. I hate the smell of like baby drool that has dried. And that's what he looks like to me. Like he would always be stinky. Like he's stinky or he's just drooling all the time. That's what Liam looks like to me, and I don't like his face at all. See, he's one you will not catch me painting. Saskia, I don't like her face in particular. I don't think she's very cute for the most part, but I'm going to paint her, and I think I can make her look decent. So, and I was looking for a challenge, so she'll be my challenge. Um, yes, Cheyenne. I also that's partially why when I very, very, very first started painting, I think I had only been painting for a few months. I did that tutorial that I filmed. I paint very differently now than I did then. But that was how I painted at the time. And I did that tutorial for free because I could not stand the amount of artists that I reached out to that I was just like, can you give like a few tips? And they're like, no, I don't want to give you any tips because like this is my livelihood, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not asking you to tell me every single step you take, every move you make. I'm just asking for some guidance so that I can start. Like, I was so taken aback by so many of the artists, and I was young too. Like, I was probably, I think I was 19, and I was so taken back by how rude the responses I was getting, um, just from like those innocent questions I was asking these people. Because the problem with painting dolls of these skin tones is there's no, almost no good tutorials out there. And if there are, they're extremely pricey because people are taking this as like a competitive thing. And the thing I don't get about that is even if I tell y'all step by step, like what I did in that video, what I do, you're a different person. So your doll that you paint using my tutorial is not going to look the exact same way that my dolls do. It's impossible. We're in completely different set of hands. So that is another thing that I don't understand about the selfishness of like, okay, I understand if you don't want to share your entire process, whatever, but not sharing a few tips at all, like, I mean, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way when I see artists that are like that because you're that just makes me think you really are just here for the money, um, where you don't want to help anyone else. But no, I that is the reason why I am so glad that I help moderate that reborning for beginner group because then I can help people who have been shut down by so many artists, um, feel like they can do this because that's what it is. It's literally you're literally gatekeeping painting of ethnic dolls, dolls of color. You're gatekeeping it, and then these are the same people who will complain about how there's not many prototypes or not many dolls available in darker skin tones. I wonder why that could be. It could be artists like you who are saying, "Oh, I'm not sharing anything, nothing at all, not no no." Like these people won't even tell you. I've seen artists who will not even tell you where the hair they got came from, which is such a stupid thing to gatekeep. Like, what? Who cares if someone gets the same kind of hair as you did? It's not going to be the same on the same doll. It's not going to be even maybe not even the same quality of rooting. So why do you care so much? I don't get people. I really it irks me because like I said, when I had started, that's like the responses I was getting. I was like, "Oh, I'm just looking for places to purchase so and so," and they would be like, "I'm not going to tell you. You'll figure it out. I'm not telling you my secrets." What? Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That it literally leads to the issue that they then want to complain about, where there's just not any dolls of color available. I wonder why that could be. And then yeah, so ultimately what I ended up doing was I finally found one artist who was able to give me the tutorial that she used, and that's where I started, and I have adapted since then with my own steps. And that's what happens. You learn what works for you and you learn what doesn't, but you got to start from somewhere. And the less information that's available, the more horrible and frustrating it is to start with this art form in particular. Like, I would have made a lot more mistakes if I had not had that kind artist finally share a tutorial with me that she had used when she started. And that tutorial, by the way, is available. Like, you can go purchase it still. It's the Brooke Nicole one. That's the one that helped me start. I think it's on Etsy. Anyway, so the other part, beggars, not. It's so funny because I was already planning to do this live, and some lady who don't think I've ever spoken to in my life just messaged me on my Instagram asking me to give her some money so she could get home. Like, what the who the who are you, first of all? I'm not a mean person, but who are you? One. Two, what makes you think you could just go and ask people money for whatever? And there's no way for me to validate because I don't know this person. There's no way for me to validate if they actually need the money to do what they say they needed the money for. Do not do that. Like, don't you dare like go and message someone that you have never had a conversation with. Like, that is so gross. Don't do that. But yeah, no, literally right as I was typing and getting ready to go live, this lady messaged me out of the blue. Can you give me this amount of money so I could do whatever? And I was like, what the fuck? Pardon my French, but what is wrong with you? Don't do that. So gross. I can't wait to tell her absolutely not. Because I haven't even responded yet because I was clicking the go live button. I was like, I don't even want to respond right now. But she's going to get a hard no from me in a few minutes when I go off this live. She is going to get a hard no. Okay. How do I pay you if I want you to pay the kit the way I want? Oh, custom. Yes. My customs. You can message me separately. I have um many forms of social media. I have my Instagram, Uni Reborn Dad. I have my reborns.com where you don't have to have a account and you could just message me on there. Like, you click on my name and you can send me a message about the kit and the details you want, and then we'll talk about payment. But essentially, I require half down, non-refundable, remainder within 4 weeks of completion of the doll that you ordered. Um, and yeah, and I if you have specifics, I could get you a a quote. But yeah, that reborns.com is my preferred mode of communication because I like to try to keep everything in one place, and most people who want customs will either message me there or Instagram. Oh, like a so that I call those, it's weird. I call those loose customs, and I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've done those. I like to do those because it obviously gives me artistic freedom. Um, yeah, no, same thing. I would just message me separately, and we'll talk about that so that I could get you all that information in one place. So yeah, Instagram is great. I'm always on Instagram, and reborns.com is great because I'm always on there and I get those messages emailed to me. So they get straight to me. Facebook, I don't use my, um, I had a reborn page on, I had a nursery on Facebook group, like a group on there, but I don't use it because I hate the way They make the pages for business pages. I hate it. It's so hard to find information. It's hard to post on there. So I stopped using it like a year ago, and I just don't get on it anymore. I haven't posted on it in at least a year, I think. My allergies are acting up so bad because I went outside and I planted some more things out there on my porch because I have like a garden set up out there. I have a raised garden bed in like several containers, and I went to plant some like lettuce and stuff outside, and my allergies are kicking in bad. All right, I am about to go off live so that I can finish up this little girl and send her final pictures to the customer before I start her hair. But it was good to chat with you all. And like I said, if you want to talk about that loose custom, send me a message. But otherwise, be warned, like I warned you guys in the beginning of this video, don't get taken advantage of. And stay away from Jessica Layman. That's the moral of the story today. Those two things. Don't get taken advantage of by reborn kit scalpers. And stay away from that lady because she will guilt trip you and make you feel bad because she's disabled, but she knows what she's doing. And I will see you guys at the next time. All right.